Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Desert Online. Today I'm going to try and kind of clear up the conversation issue that I was having in one of my previous videos, where I was trying to explain that you actually do need to talk to people and you need to have conversations in order to open up all the quests and all the items and everything else that happens in this game. I mean, you can just basically breeze on by all this stuff. I have a couple characters who are pretty high level, not max level, but over 54? 55? Somewhere over there. So there's like, anyway, the point is you don't need to do the quests, but if you don't do them, you'll be missing out on a lot of what the game has to offer. And a lot of the quests in the game are hidden behind conversations. So how do you win conversations? Well, it took me a few tries, and it took me a few searches on the internet reading to figure out the conversations are actually fairly simple. They just aren't presented very easily. So the first thing you need to do when you go into a conversation is you need to figure out what they're interested in. So over here on the left, it'll tell you what they're interested in, and you need to know whether or not you want to have the conversation in the first place. So down here on the left, if you mouse over one of those little things here, it'll tell you, it'll offer you a quest at 100 Amity, and it'll offer you some knowledge at 200 Amity. So if this guy doesn't offer anything, you don't have to talk to him. And the other way you know whether or not the conversation is even possible to happen, you can see there's a lot of NPCs over there. They don't have that little icon with two talking heads over their head. So anyway, you get in there, you figure out whether you want to talk to him, whether you can talk to him, and you go to the conversation. And the first thing you need to notice is that right up here is the object of the game, basically, the object of the minigame. Requirement, talk freely with Wocaster, so I can basically do whatever I want to beat this guy and win the conversation and get some amity out of it. But if I go out of the conversation and come back, you'll notice it changed. So now it says get a maximum favor of 40 or more. In other words, I do have to get more than 40 favor when I do this conversation. So let's go in and do this one more time. I'll show you that it changed. Maximum favor of 39 or more. So what does that mean? Well, when you go down here and you mouse over one of your guys that you're going to be able to talk about, one of the subjects that he wants to talk about, you'll see that they each have different stats on it. So the first one is interest level, then you have favor, then you have sparking interest, and interest 15 to 21. So what does that mean? You have to have well, in this particular one it says you have to have favor at 39 or more. What you have to do is you have to have more favor than his favor. So this one here says 32 to 38, and his is 17. The more favor I get, the more amity I get. So that just basically is part of the reason why their interest is so low. So you have to kind of balance between whether or not they're going to be interested in continuing to talk to you about that subject, and whether or not the favor is going to be worth it to get the amity. For instance, if I put this guy down, he'd most likely give me, 17, 28 minus 17, that's, 9? He'd give me 9 favor, or 9 amity. So, let's just go ahead and play the game real quick, just to show you what it looks like. So this one is 100% interest sparking, so I wouldn't have to worry about him not liking the conversation for any reason. And he's got 35 to 36 favors, so that's a pretty good choice. But we don't want to start out with him because it's going to go, the path is 1, it goes here, 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 and then back to those two, so those two get hit twice. So you probably want to put 100% in there unless there's a reason for you to want to lose. Alright, so that guy has no interest whatsoever, so he's not really good for gaining amity or gaining favor. She's got a 65%, 94%. I guess we can start with a 94. Only 5 to 13. It's not the greatest, but we'll make up for it with this guy, I think. And then we can go back to the beginning because I know there's a guy in here that's worth it. Yep, 94 right there. And then finally the last one is going to be only hit once, so it doesn't need to be ridiculously high. But I would like the favor to be pretty high. Alright. Right there. We'll try her. So you can see I won that one, just because I gained 29 amity in total, or basically my maximum favor rate here was above what the requirement was, which if I recall is 29. So that you can basically leave the conversation now if you want, or you can keep talking, but you'll see that it'll change again. Accumulated favor of 74 or more, so I do have to really kind of lay it on with the favor in order to get this one done. So we can do the same thing again, basically. Her, and then him. And we need another 100% if possible, just to make sure it doesn't totally... Huh, doesn't look like I do have 100%. That guy, and then... Yeah, we'll try here. Not him, because again, no interest whatsoever, hardly any favor you could see, so that would actually be a net loss with him on Amity. Because again, the NPC's got a favor of 17, this guy's got a favor of 5 to 10, so I'd lose favor, essentially. I'd lose Amity. Look at that. Maximum favor, 88 Amity in total, which is nice. So I won that one as well because it was over 79. Now I can keep going, or I can stop here. Let's try one more time. Just talk freely. Okay, well then that just basically means whatever you want to do. So I'm going to put all the highest level guys I can in, or at least for the interest, so that I can just get through this. Let's do him. So when it says talk freely, you can do whatever you want. Just go for as much Amity as you possibly can get, basically, and you're good to go. So that's 164 Amity out of that. That should get me almost to where I need to be to get that next piece of knowledge. Actually, I think it just got me over because it's 208. So that's it, guys. I know it's a really complicated looking thing, but it's not too bad. Just look at favor and realize that the favor you gain from the conversation minus the favor that the NPC has is the Amity you gain. The Amity is the stat, the thing that you keep. The favor is basically what Amity really is. I know that's kind of a really confusing thing. Sparking conversation 100%, that really has to do with whether or not they want you to spark a conversation or not. Because sometimes the requirement is don't spark a conversation. It's then fail to spark a conversation 3 times. And that will also play into whether or not the combos on some of these characters, the knowledge points essentially, it'll actually play into whether or not those combos fire or not. So I hope that helped you guys out. It definitely was very confusing for me until I realized that, again, favor is Amity, and Amity is favor, essentially, even though they are 2 different things. They are essentially the same thing in the conversation minigame. I hope this helped you guys out because it really was confusing for me, and I will see you guys in the next quest.